want to welcome everybody to today's show. I have Tamar Weinberg with us. She's written a book titled The New Community Rules, Marketing on the Social Web. I see that Dave McClure has obviously read the book because he's given you a little bit of, forward reading there that he can't think of anybody more qualified to be bringing someone into this marketing than Tamar. Tamar, are you on the call with us?
Yes, I am. Hey.
Good to have you. First, let me thank you for taking the time to, talk with us about this book.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to dive in.
Cool. Now, just to bring my listeners up to speed a little bit, I know your background because I'm in that space, social media, and, I study everybody in the space so that I'm up to speed, but my listeners aren't in the space, all of them. So did you come from, technology? What was your path, coming up to writing this book?
All right, it's a very interesting path. It's a book on social media marketing, and I've been involved in social media before it was actually called social media. We're talking about like the early '90s when I guess online communities, especially AOL and the Prodigy days, were really starting to blossom. And I fell in love with it. I knew that I could connect with people online in the early '90s. That I decided the one thing that I want to do when I graduate college is I'm going to major in computer science because it's going to put me closer to these people. It obviously didn't make too much sense then. I knew that the computer was the kind of the medium that facilitated these strong communications. So I proceeded along that route. Computer science is really two things. It's programming and theory, and I'm not really too interested in either, but it was sort of a way for me to figure out what I wanted to do. And instead of me doing that, I really kind of got into I was starting with like side jobs in school. I started doing technical administration, system administration, and technical support. And after college, I pretty much did that in a couple of different capacities, and finally ended up in a search engine marketing capacity where I was the web administrator. And, when you do search engine marketing, it's really kind of going back to dealing with people again. You're in search engine optimization, you're writing content for people. And it was right around the time that search engine social media optimization was starting to kind of take stronghold, thanks to the Facebooks and the Digs of the world. And it brought me back to the early '90s when that was why I was online, and kind of the rest is history. Kind of took full circle there, and it was pretty fascinating. I'm so happy to have done it. I'm so happy to. It's a great. I don't know if it was a wasted 10 years, given that I majored in computer science, but I ended up finding where I wanted to be, and I'm extremely happy to have done that.
Well, I think that it was the best 10 years that you could have done because I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 42, as of last week. And, I've been self-employed for 25 years. And when you're self-employed, you have to make the phone ring. So If you don't learn how to do marketing, you're kind of out of business. No one's going to make your phone ring when it's your company. Right. So you either play that game that you try to find a company to do the marketing for you, but you end up just spending money and you still don't know what you're doing. You don't know, because most marketing companies you pay to do it for you, they don't know what they're doing. That's the sad truth, but since I've been down the road 25 years, I could make that statement. So with you being coming from the marketing space, 10 years of experience cannot be duplicated. And that is a huge lacking job source. That's my opinion because I've been in the space too. So you writing a book about it, is perfect for how things have developed. I'm glad I see people like you that have that experience, and you're seeing with getting some consulting and all the jobs that you have, I'm sure it's from your experience. Am I not correct with that thinking?
I think that's the case. I do think that it's not really online. It's an interesting thing. It's not really marketing in the true sense of the word. It's really understanding the people that you're communicating with and building a strong relationship that eventually positions yourself to kind of market. So it's not really it's not the overt tactics. I think, it's kind of the evolution to community building. But I do think that people understand that I have the experience and have the ability to position myself in the right place, to position products in front of the right people, and that's why those phones are ringing, and that's why I'm getting a lot of inquiries that I end up pushing off because I can't take them all. But it's great. It's absolutely great, and it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I always look forward to every single day.
Yep. Well, I think that you titled the book properly, like your title says, New Community Rules, Marketing on the Social Web. Everything has come back to the recommendation age. We've gone from the industrial age when Ford and the big companies were doing things, and went into the information age because of the digital age we've been in for 20 years. And now it's back to the recommendation and community side of the fence. And I think that's why your book is so fitting right now, because that's what people, marketers and business owners need help with. How do they join that community? How do they market their product without coming off like a salesman?
Right.
With that being said, what do you think the most important piece of that for our listeners is? The community, the social part. Do you think that's one of the most important pieces of your book?
I think I would say so. I think that it's the whole book is about talking. Being involved in a community is really marketing. I mean, there's a lot of different parts of it, like setting goals and whatever else, but the whole the first half of the book really talks about the kind of the basics, or not really so much the basics, but the understanding of just social media marketing and what it is and how you should get into it and the mindset that you should have. But yeah, the whole second half of the book is about the types of communities that exist and what you should do and how you should learn about them. I mean, I've had several years of experience to understand these specific communities. You don't have to necessarily study them again in order to jump in. I mean, it helps to get an understanding of it, but the book totally does address it. Does address most of it. So you don't have to. The learning curve is going to hopefully be a lot less because someone who has the knowledge already has given you the instruction of how to proceed.
Exactly. So the book's a little bit of a step-by-step, explaining Facebook, MySpace. After reading the book, these clients could see which social medias they should attack and join and start their process.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, the really important part is to understand that you should be where your customers are. And chances are, you're going to have some Twitters and Facebooks in there. MySpace might vary, but you really should kind of understand what your community is, what they're seeking. And there might be niche communities that you can target as well. Hundreds of little ones. There's a lot of them on the Ning platform. A lot of opportunity to really get out there. But there's a lot of studying to it. However, yeah, you're definitely going to want to tackle some of the big ones, and then you're going to want to study out and see where to go next.
Exactly. That's what I'm suggesting to the clients that I consult with, is get on the big ones and get your feet wet. The Facebook, they need their own company blog, and I know we could expand a little bit on that. When I'm consulting with a small company, individual type of entrepreneur, they have no problem with a blog. But then when you're consulting with a bigger company and they actually have no blogging for their employees, that's a whole nother dynamic. So talk a little about that with what you've seen. When a company's trying to be closed, they're trying to control the message. How do they take steps to grasp social media?
Well, the interesting thing is that most of the people who have come to me are coming because they're not closed. They understand now that the conversation is happening whether you're happy about it or not, whether you like it or not. And just because your ears are closed doesn't mean people aren't talking about you. I think that a lot of people really understand that they need to get involved. And I mean, there's certain approaches that you can take. You can take the approach of, starting up a blog, closing comments, moderating comments, right now, most of these big brands have some company spokespeople. These are the people, you want to have similar training, like the company spokespeople understand that this information is public and on the record. You need to kind of articulate the same type of, strategies and recommendations for whoever's going to be doing this on the blog. Sometimes I recommend that executives get involved in the process because usually executives don't make mistakes as in slipping up about an iPad launch, for example, as I'm sure a lot of people are aware. I think Macmillan or one of those authors, did that with the iPad launch, or I don't even remember who it was. But I mean, you don't want that to happen. I mean, these things are all on the record, and I think that one thing is that they need to understand that, and that as soon as it's public, it's really out, and really just start listening to the community, because these conversations are definitely happening. And if you have it on your specific site, I mean, it's a great way to for lack of a better word, police it, in the sense that there's going to be concern about the not having control of their message, but you can do it. You can definitely contain it on your actual website versus on Twitter. I mean, those things are going to happen. There's definitely going to be conversations on Twitter, and you can't do anything about it. But if you just put turn your back to it, doesn't mean that those conversations aren't ongoing.
Exactly. I've had to literally show clients the conversation on Yelp and other social networks that they're not part of, but it's happening anyways. They don't even have a website. They got a bad review because everybody has a bad day, but they're not even aware that this is happening. So you definitely have to plug in and get a little bit more proactive. And, with the tools today, you could actually use those negatives to improve the product. You have to know what's happening. You have to know what your consumer actually thinks of the product so you can make it better. And the tools are there.
Right.
It's pretty cool that, we could help them that way. What would your tips be for someone to, if they took your advice, got the book and jumped in, started participating, what would their business look like in the next 30, 60, 90 days? I realize social media is not overnight, but, give some of the case studies you've seen, whether it's a big company or small.
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to kind of contest initially, especially if you're a brand that really has no visibility in the social space. I'm going to contest the fact that 30, 60, 90 days, because you might not see really a lot of dents in what's going on in the first 30, 60, 90 days. You're going to see stuff, you're going to see ripples, but you're not going to see waves. And then I think that's very important to notice that, for example, I'm working with a brand that really has no visibility right now online, besides having their website. But, it's an interesting challenge for me. I'm tweeting under the specific company's name, and it's great that I have my name in front of them. I'm slowly seeing fans, but it's not something that you're going to see, you're not going to find that overnight. And I think that the recommendation that I would have is that, you need to actually aggressively work on it. You can't just work on it and then forget about it. It's going to be something that, if you're using Twitter, for example, you're going to want to look on Twitter, find things that are interesting to you as a person and maybe also to you as a business. I mean, to you as a person because you're building relationships. So I think that I would strongly recommend that. And then really don't just look at them, but actually have conversations with them, ongoing conversations to show them, hey, I exist. Get to know who I am. But you're not making a sale there. For example, I don't know, last night, for example, someone was talking about how Chile had its second earthquake. And, I mean, I thought it's very sad, and it's very unfortunate. It's also kind of unfortunate. I mean, today Taiwan had an earthquake. It's incredibly unfortunate that, Chile is sort of in the shadows of Haiti, as is Taiwan. And, everybody, we all want to go out to aid, but I mean, I think that's an opportunity. If somebody comments about the Chile earthquake, you can say, well, it's really unfortunate that, you just take that opportunity, usurp the opportunity to respond, something that you can actually relate to and understand and respond to. I think that you definitely shouldn't shy away from that. I mean, those are the types of things. It's For me, it wasn't relevant to my business at all. It's not relevant to people that I'm promoting, but those are the types of things. You heard something, you have something to say, build that relationship. Not very difficult, completely off topic, but at the same time, people notice you when you actually are talking to them.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, because the company branding doesn't have to be, if it's Nike shoes, it doesn't have to be shoes. I mean, the company owner might like dogs. The company owner might like giving to something like Haiti, and the customers of Nike would get on board for the same reasons. That's community side of it. So I think you're definitely right that you could broaden some of the topics there so that it's not so boring. People don't want to hear about shoes 24/7,
Right, and I think, just to kind of expand on that point, you talk about the owner who likes dogs. I mean, he's humanizing the company. You're not being just about, it's not just about the shoes, exactly. It's about showing that the face to the company has other interests, and that's really important for a lot of these people. They're looking to that. They're not just looking for shoes, exactly. Great point.
Well, some of the roadblocks that you're running into, with social media, whether it's with the media itself or the company owners, what are some of the things you've had to get around? Is one of them people wanting too quick a results, because of our mentality of now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just quick results, it's quick responses. With real time, everybody expects immediate responses. And for me, I mean, I have to say that 2 years ago, I'd respond to emails within, a day or 2 days. I'd never feel like there was such a sense of urgency. But now, if you email me, I'll have a response to you in 5 minutes. It's like sort of a mentality, I feel like my brain is wired to a computer in the sense that I have to respond immediately now. And that's absolutely, it's kind of shifted to me as that individual. I think companies are looking to, see immediate, they invest a lot of money in social media campaigns. They want to find immediate results. And that's very hard, especially if you're trying to build relationships, because those things take time. And typically it's one person at a time. You can't just convert a crowd of 30 all of a sudden, at least not on something like Twitter, where you can't really, you can follow Friday 15 people maybe, but you really can't. I think those are the type of things you need to understand. There are a lot of different concerns. I mean, they're mostly campaign specific. I can't even think of some off the bat. When I guess the expectation of clients to get, if you uploaded a video to YouTube to get all of a sudden get 1 million hits. I mean, those aren't things that happen. It's mostly having the natural virality of the video that really causes that to happen. But you can't really artificially inflate that, and that's something important to think about. I mean, social media is all about people, and you can't really fake it too much. It's all about just relating to the people, and if the people can relate to the content, they'll be inclined to pass it on. But you can't really you can't really force that at all. I mean, you force feed it, first of all, nobody's going to want to talk about it because they're just it's pushed in their face. It's sort of like the banner ads that cause banner blindness. And, it's just, they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth if it's going to be pushed down their mouth like they just didn't want it. I mean, I look at my book, interestingly enough, on Twitter. There are a lot of people who want to make a quick buck off of Amazon affiliates and whatever else, so they use my book. I'm following mentions of the book through Twitter alerts, Twitter search, and I mean people are pushing content about on my book there, but that's not organic. I mean, let people actually review it, actually grow it. I don't think that these affiliate marketing type people are actually making money off of it because they're just sort of force feeding it, and they use lots of Twitter drone accounts, fake accounts. That have a lot of inflated visitors and followers, and I don't think that those people are engaged. Those bots are engaged at all. The people that are following them, I don't think that those are people who actually understand Twitter and probably don't even go back to it. I mean, there's a lot of catches to find. It has to be natural. It can't be artificial, and that's really the point that I'm trying to drive home.
Right on. I mean, I like that I'm seeing the big companies actually take it serious because I'm hoping the smaller companies will take their lead and not be discouraged. Like, oh, I can't compete with Dell or Home Depot, but don't be discouraged. Just jump in.
Right.
So, because the cool thing about the internet, because of the cost structure, the small company could compete. Granted, they're doing the marketing. They're not hiring me and you. They can't afford the third-party marketing company, but they could do it themselves. Whereas you couldn't get on TV yourself. You couldn't do that before. So,
right, and it's definitely easier.
Yeah, so I think that it's the smaller companies just have to do what they're seeing JetBlue and Dell join the community and actually take their game up a little bit. Heaven forbid, like let's see what your company's made of.
Right.
Not pitch. So I think it's a cool time that all this is available. That's why I enjoy being in the space as well, because me coming from the business owner side of the fence, I couldn't compete before. I couldn't afford radio and TV or the third-party marketing company. It was so heavy money-wise, you just couldn't play the game. But
right.
That's all changed.
Yep.
So I'm loving the space, and it's what I talk about 24/7.
Yeah, I know. When you're passionate, you see that's a great point. I mean, it's very easy for people to get into the space, but they need to be passionate about it. If you're talking about it 24/7, then you've got the right kind of person. But if you're just going to force it upon somebody, it's also like, you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't force somebody to read your story if they're not interested. You can't force somebody to be the spokesman for your company if they're not aligned with the culture and they're not passionate about it. You really have to have that passion. And it's kind of easy to find, but it's also hard to find because you need to find someone who loves social media, but you have to find someone who loves social media and really is aligned with your company culture. So that's also a challenge. But, in today's day and age, I have to say, a lot of people do enjoy going on Facebook and on Twitter to network, at least in my world. And I think that it's easy to find, and if you have somebody in your company that you see is very involved in the social media sphere, give them the reins to kind of spearhead the social media accounts for you. It's a great opportunity for you to put yourself in the open, especially with someone who might have already established rapport with people in these communities. Exactly.
I think a good tie-in would be Seth Godin's book, Linchpin. If you want to be indispensable in today's day and age, and you work at a company, I've never been a company person, but if you're working at a company, whatever department you're in, especially the marketing side, social media side, and they're looking for someone to help them, step up and take that position that what didn't even exist. That's another cool thing. A lot of layoffs and all that. I'm seeing in Craigslist and Monster.com type of sites, they're paying $50,000 a year for social media manager. That position never existed before.
Exactly.
So, step up and take it.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for social media marketing type people. It's interesting because there was an article, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I'm sure the whole world knows that there was a recession, but there's also on the social media side, there was an article, what recession? Because it showed that, decline, like there's so much decline for typical, banking type of jobs and, jobs that really suffered heavy job losses. But then you see on the opposite side, on the marketing side, and the social media side, specifically, you're seeing a rise in demand for the companies for this talent. It's a great time to be in social media. That's what I have to say.
Exactly. Well, that was good with you taking the computer science at school because it's in the tech field.
Right.
I'm trying to push my kids that direction as well because, like I say, we're 20 years into the digital age, and now we're seeing things quantum leap because the first 10 or 15 years, all that was getting done by companies like Microsoft and the security companies, they were just building the infrastructure out.
Right.
We weren't able to talk to people in Europe daily like we do business now because the infrastructure wasn't even there. So now, 20 years later, that's all done. Countries like Korea have 20 meg upload and download speed. We're behind third world countries at this point with technology, certain sectors. So, we got to step up our game.
We do. And we do need to get higher bandwidth because I'm getting tired of my 30 megabit and 5 upload. So
Yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm irritated with that. But the problem that the U.S. has, we had the old infrastructure. I'm talking starting with dial-up and everything. We had an economy, and we had the first part of the infrastructure. So what happens, cable, television, radio, everybody gets tied into that old networking with contracts and everything. I mean, this goes deep. Who's serving the community with that network and everything else. So now to just abandon all of that old infrastructure and go to high-speed wireless is hard to do because literally people are lobbying their government, they're everywhere to keep the old stuff. They don't want to lose the contracts. It gets so convoluted, whereas a third world country didn't have the infrastructure to begin with. So their first thing on the scene is high-speed wireless.
Right.
So they just leapfrog right past old stuff. So it was great that we had it, but now it's kind of an Achilles heel to get rid of it.
Exactly.
So it's interesting, but, I'm sure we'll make some leaps because I'm seeing companies like Google and some other giants talk about they're going into that space. Google wants to bring like 1 terabyte or some ridiculous amount of speed to communities, and with companies like that jumping in, they'll drag everybody else along. So, and that could only help us, small business owners, take advantage of that stuff. I mean, that's what's so cool about the space right now. I was spending $1,500, $2,000 a month for internet computers to run a business, and now I'm spending like $200 a month for the same kind of stuff, but better. So it's getting better every day.
Yeah, could always improve though.
Yeah, I'm waiting, chopping at the bit here. I want Google to come give me some high-speed internet.
Well, didn't you hear that they just renamed the city of Topeka, Kansas, to Google, Kansas, because I think that they're vying for the high-speed internet. I think some Google Files or something, fiber optic cable. The whole month of March, the mayor changed the name because they really want Google's attention that badly that they want to make it happen.
Well, hopefully the politicians jump on board with this internet growth. The other girl that's just got hired with the politics side, she wrote the book on Google Wave.
Gina Trapani.
Yeah, Gina. It's exciting to see people actually get closer to government and develop the internet more, because the more that the politicians embrace this, the better for everybody, because that's where the money's coming from. So I'm hoping that it all helps, because every little bit helps. So let's give our guests an action step before I let you go today. Besides getting your book to follow, your 10 years of, this book is 10 years of boiled down action steps, 340 pages of this is what's going on, this is what you need to do. So besides getting that book, what action steps should they be taking tomorrow?
I mean, I think that it's important to listen, first and foremost. I mean, there's so much going on. You need to understand what people are saying, and you got to craft a plan of action. I mean, I really think listening is really part of it. But I also think it's setting goals. You don't want to dive into social media without understanding what you want to get out of it. People's goals are going to be different. I mean, some goals might be involved getting more subscribers. Some goals might involve, getting people to download a white paper. I mean, you need to set those up, and what specifically, how many people, how many conversions, how much more money do you want to get out of social media? And I think, those are two of the kind of the prerequisites before you actually dive in. Once you're there, you really need to measure. Keep tabs of what's going on, what's working, what isn't. I guess maybe I would say take a journal of what's happening and consistently tweak. Some of the campaigns that I'm working at, I used to focus on specific social websites, and I realized that the audience wasn't good, there wasn't high ROI, so I stopped doing that. You're going to be learning throughout, and I think that you need to use the knowledge that you've really learned in order to improve and adjust. And my last step, really my last thing to follow, is just have fun with it. It should not be seen as a chore. It's a great opportunity to just really, I guess, get yourself out there in such a way that people can relate to you and be really, happy that you're available for them. I love some of my favorite companies are my favorite companies because I have people on staff online that I can immediately just not really necessarily ring up, but I can contact online. I feel like there's people in the company that I feel comfortable talking to, and that's important. These aren't like the Zappos of the world. Zappos has like thousands or hundreds of employees, and they're an incredible company, and one of my favorites also. But I'm talking about really small companies that I love just because I know that they're people that I can count on. And you should take advantage of the social media space to be one of those people that they count on as well.
Exactly, and that is good advice, to have a plan and have it trackable, because the tools are there. And Tamar lays that out in the book. Have a plan and measure, because you want to know from those tools what's working and what's not. So I'm a big proponent of measuring everything you do. You don't need to be in the dark. The tools are there. So I 100% agree with what you're saying. And I want to thank you again for taking the time to talk about the book a little bit. And I'm going to have on the website the link to get the book, your website, your phone number. So if anybody needs to get a hold of you, the stuff will be right there for them.
Cool.
So again, Tamar, you have an awesome day, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen.
All right, girl. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.